Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, the camping season might be over, but I've got a whole bunch of backgrounds recorded from when I was camping, so we're going to be camping in spirit for the time moving forward. And I may introduce some other backgrounds as time moves on. Maybe I'll take you on some winter hikes, maybe I won't, who knows. Anyways, here first up, we're talking about the SUPERSEGA. And this has generated a bit of controversy. So for those who may not be aware, the SUPERSEGA is going to be a brand new FPGA device, and it's meant to play a whole bunch of different Sega consoles from the SG-1000 all the way up to the Dreamcast, so pretty much every single one of them. Anyways, here they had a recent showcase, and that showcase generated a whole lot of questions. So one of the first things that people noticed was that every time this switched to a different game, there was an interesting cut in the video, and it looks like it was made to look like there were no cuts at all. So if I go down and slow this video down to about 0.25 times, and then hit play here, as soon as he puts up the controller and hits the button, you'll see it clip. So I'm not quite sure exactly why they did this, but there is a cut right there. Now for full transparency, cuts in videos are completely normal. I mean, I've got cuts in my videos. Almost every YouTuber has cuts in their videos. But loading up a game and cutting is a very interesting place to cut. I'm wondering if they're trying to cut out the loading time. I'm wondering if they're cutting out the loading because there is no loading and this doesn't work. I don't know exactly why they're cutting. And if you don't believe me that there's a cut here, watch when I click the play button and pay attention to the position of that controller. So as soon as he hits the button, there is a slight change right on that controller. And if you still don't believe me, here's another one that's a little bit more obvious. And you'll see the controller again move. I don't exactly know what's going on here on why they're making these cuts. And if you need a third example, here is a third one. And you can see he presses the button and then there is a delay. And then he puts the controller in his lap and then we've got a weird cut. Now, no surprise, someone even asked, why cut before every game load? And they responded saying, see new video with uncuts. This was an error of the editor trying to bypass some loading times. So in their re-uploaded video, they give us a closer look at their board. They say the board is plugged into the TV and the wall here, and that's about it. And then they showcase the board and loading in action. Again, like everything I talk about, link will be in the description below right at the bottom. But there is something I want to highlight here. I'm not going down the conspiracy theory road or anything like that, but it's very weird how they have this TV sitting on the desk like that. The TV is not on a stand, the TV is directly on the desk. And you can see that there's space behind the TV here. So I'm wondering what exactly is behind the TV. Is there a console? Is this thing not actually working? Now, I don't know here, maybe I'm out of touch, but I don't know of many TVs that actually sit on a desk like that. Normally, a lot of them have stands that they sit on, or if they're a wall-mounted TV, they're mounted on the wall. It's very weird to see a TV arranged like this on the desk. Again, I could be wrong and this could be nothing. However, what I've noticed and what other people have noticed might not even be the biggest issue. Video Game Esoterica had a pretty keen eye at the actual PCB. I mean, SUPERSEGA showcased the PCB in a couple of different videos. And Video Game Esoterica is wondering if the PCB is actually the real deal. I mean, there's a distinct lack of traces on it, and it's set up in a very weird way. I do recommend checking out Video Game Esoterica's video. He compares it against Take Udon's recent Mr. Pi and shows the different connections and everything that's going on there. It's a very weird situation, and I'm wondering if the SUPERSEGA is going to be real or just vaporware. I'm curious about this. I'm curious to see if YouTubers get their hands on it to review it, and I'm very curious to see if it holds up to what all they're promising. Let me know your thoughts about the SUPERSEGA in the comments below. Do you think it's the real deal? Do you think it's fake? And speaking about Sega, next up we're talking about Sega emulation on Android with Pizza Boy. Now, you may be familiar with Pizza Boy emulators for the Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance, but now they're dipping their toes here into the Sega ecosystem. And they've just dropped Pizza Boy SC Pro. Now, this one is not free, and it's also in beta. They say right in the description, this is a beta version and it's still incomplete. Download the app only if you want to be an early tester or you want to support the project. Now, for full transparency, I haven't checked this one out myself yet, but taking a look at the screenshots here, and while I do like the skins and the overall setup, From my understanding, it'll do stuff like the Sega Master System, the Game Gear, the Genesis, and they're working on even more. There's a number of interesting things about this emulator as well. They say here that there will be a rewind function, you can change the skins, the core is built entirely in Rust, and they say this is for exceptional performance and stability. It does have retro achievements, and they plan to support the Sega CD and 32X. So let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Pizza Boy emulators are pretty popular, and do you think that Pizza Boy SC Pro is also going to be popular? I mean, there is a price tag attached to it. A lot of people don't like when that happens, but I'm assuming there's also going to be a free version at some point. And speaking about apps and prices, next up here, we're talking about Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. And Nintendo is taking the free-to-play version of this one offline. However, they are introducing a paid version of the app. The paid version will cost $10 USD or $9.99 if you wanted to be specific, and it will launch on December 3rd. So Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Complete is headed to both Android and iOS, and if I'm not mistaken, after January 31st, 2025, the price of this game goes from $9.99 to $19.99. So they're trying to give a discount to early adopters. And also, if you're already playing Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, save data is transferable, but not everything will transfer over. Unfortunately, Nintendo does have comments turned off on this video, so I can't see the direct comments on what people's thoughts are about it. But I am seeing a lot of people already tired with the game. A lot of people have played it and are bored with it already, so I'm wondering whether or not this one will be a big seller. At least it's an option for people who wanted to continue playing the game to be able to, and Nintendo just not killing the game forever. I will be paying close attention to this one on the Google Play Store to see what happens, whether it's popular or dead on arrival. And I am very curious to see what happens with this game when prices increase from 10 to 20 bucks. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. Do you like the fact that Nintendo is leaving this game available for people who want to play it? Do you like the $10 price point? Do you like it increasing to 20 bucks? And are you interested in still playing this game now that it's no longer live service? Next up here, we're talking about Nvidia. And if you're a fan of Nvidia, you're going to like this news. And if you're not a fan of Nvidia, you're probably going to hate this news. But it turns out that Nvidia overtook Apple as the world's most valuable company. It seems that these two companies are competing right now, but at one point, Nvidia did surpass Apple. Nvidia closed at $3.53 trillion versus Apple's whopping $3.52. Now, it is worth pointing out that values do change around from time to time. I think, if I'm not mistaken, right now, Nvidia is sitting around $3.47 trillion-ish. And Apple is still sitting at $3.52 trillion. So it is very interesting to me that Nvidia overtook Apple, considering Apple is behind a whole bunch of different products. And a lot of people just know Nvidia for making GPUs. It does appear that it's AI that's fueling Nvidia's value, as AI is utilizing the power of GPUs in order to function. Next up here, we're talking about Halo 5, and we've got some heartbreaking news about the chances of Halo 5 arriving on PC. A lot of people have been wondering when or if that game is ever headed to PC, and it turns out it most likely isn't. So someone on Twitter says extremely down bad for a true PC port. And someone who worked on the game says, I wish, but it's never going to happen in my opinion. I think the port that was being considered ran into significant tech hurdles and was scrapped. I wish I had better news for you about this one, but at least the good news, or the silver lining, is they were actually looking for Halo 5 to go to PC. It just doesn't seem like it's going to happen, and I think that's the worst news. Who knows, maybe they'll get an appetite to port it over to PC, maybe they'll find a better way to do it. Maybe it's still on the radar, but I'm not getting my hopes up. And speaking about Xbox stuff, next up we're talking about Xenia Canary. Now, Xenia Canary is the arguably more experimental version of Xenia. Anyways, here it's an Xbox 360 emulator, and if you like to play Burnout Revenge, there's a fix here that fixes some audio. So some of the music playback issues with Burnout Revenge is now fixed, and some people are also reporting that the custom playlist music in Saints Row has now been fixed as well. Xenia Canary is 100% free, it's open source, and a lot of people have been having success setting it up through Xenia Manager, which is also a free and open source program. And speaking about free, next up we're talking about Cyber Soldier, which was just released on Steam on October 18th, and the game is free to play. This one here, I haven't tried it out yet. I'm not necessarily a big fan of the screen shake here for the bullets. I'm hoping it can be turned off. Additionally, here on Steam, Sega is giving away Nights into Dreams for free. Now, this game in Canada is listed at just over $10, so $11 overall. However, if you head to Sega's website, they're celebrating the 60th anniversary and giving away this game. So the website is sega60th.com, and if you sign up here, you can get a free Steam copy of the Sega Saturn classic Nights into Dreams. So there you go. And speaking about PC games, next up we're talking about Qualcomm's upcoming mobile chip, the Snapdragon 8 Elite. You know, the chip that ARM is reportedly trying to get Qualcomm not to sell. Anyways, here it's being reported that the Snapdragon 8 Elite has full Linux support, which will make it easier to run PC games through emulation. So with ARM gaining popularity in the computing space and a lot of news out there and rumors about Steam and ARM compatibility, I am very curious to see what this means moving forward for the Snapdragon 8 Elite and also gaming on mobile devices. Let me know your thoughts about this one. Next up, we're talking about David Wald, who is a well-known voice actor and writer known for works on Attack on Titan, Vampire Hunter D, and Golgo 13. And the other day over on Twitter, David had a very interesting tweet that is highly controversial. So David says, "Dear friends, if you sent me anything care of Funimation or Crunchyroll in the last 5 years, I apologize, I didn't get it. I learned yesterday that Crunchyroll opened my private mail, threw away your letters, and passed out any included items to their staff." Now, I am no lawyer here, but I am pretty sure that this is illegal for Crunchyroll to do. I mean, that is kind of mail theft, is it not? Who knows here? I don't think this is right at all. It's upsetting a lot of people. And apparently a lot of people had sent stuff in to David. Let me know your thoughts about this one and whether or not that this is illegal from Funimation or Crunchyroll. I would assume it is. I would assume that this is not okay in any stretch of the imagination. And on a side note here, I don't think David is ever going to receive any of this stuff. Who knows? Maybe someone unsuspecting was handed something, realized it was meant for David, and will give it back. I wouldn't bet on it though, but you never know here. And I'm curious to see how much stuff was arguably stolen over the years. And speaking about over the years, next up we're talking about Grand Theft Auto. Now, the other day we talked about Grand Theft Auto San Andreas celebrating its 20th anniversary. And it appears in celebration of that 20th anniversary, Silent has released patches and released them open source. Now, these patches are for Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. And there's a number of different improvements and fixes here, as well as instructions on how to install them on your games. Now, I would argue that these patches are almost a necessity to get the full value out of the PC games. I mean, I think they make things look a lot better and perform better. There is a ton of information over on Silent's blog about all 3 games and all the nuances of each patch, and the fact that they're open source is amazing because if anyone wanted to contribute or fork and change some things, they absolutely can. Next up here, we're quickly talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, I don't believe this to be true, but who knows, maybe it's going to be. There is a website here with a Nintendo Switch 2 countdown timer as to when it's going to be revealed. A lot of people are saying it's real. A lot of people are saying it's fake. And I'm more thinking that this is just fake and something that someone's posted to talk about. I wouldn't expect the Switch 2 to be revealed before Christmas. Now, I could be wrong here, but realistically, I think Nintendo wants to still sell a whole bunch of regular Switches. They'll probably have some Black Friday stuff and as well as stuff for the holidays. And announcing a Switch 2, I think, would probably put a bit of a damper on how many Switch units they sell, considering people probably wouldn't buy one, wanting to wait for the next one. Who knows here, maybe I'm wrong, we'll just have to wait about a day or so and then find out. Next up here, we're talking about a fan translation on the Sega Saturn, and it appears that Princess Crown has been translated to English. So Princess Crown was released back in September of 1997 in Japan only for the Sega Saturn PS2 and PSP. And now it has been translated to English, and the full translation is open source on GitHub. If you are curious about this one, check out the YouTube video. It showcases the game in action and also has the relevant links. Now, Princess Crown was released back in 1997 for the Sega Saturn, and then I think it was re-released in 2005 for the PSP, and then again on the PS4. However, it was only ever released in Japanese, and I think it was exclusive to Japan until now, kind of. Anyways, check out the YouTube video. It's got all of the details as well as the relevant links. And speaking about YouTube, last up here, we're talking about OMG, which stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Ozone Modifications Group, depending on how you want to interpret that. Anyways, they've got a brand new YouTube channel here, a brand new Discord, and this is a group of game modders, developers, hackers, and game enthusiasts. I'm assuming that this group over on Discord will be talking a whole lot about game mods and hacks and all of that stuff. If you are curious, feel free to check out their YouTube channel where they list all of the details. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and the legendary one fluff. And you can see I take her camping. Look in the background there. Anyways, we talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.